Hello, welcome to Yoga for Boomers and Beyond. I'm your host and instructor, Nancy Boyle. This practice is designed to use the aid of a chair to make poses accessible for individuals with physical limitations. But in today's practice, I'll be introducing postures and movements on the floor. So I'll be showing you how to use the chair to help you get down onto the floor, and then using the chair to help you get back up. And you might be thinking, I hate getting up and down from a chair or onto the floor. It's too hard, it's too much work, I haven't done it in years, I don't like it, I avoid it, and you wouldn't be alone in your thinking. But it's my hope that you can put those judgments aside just for today and give it a try. The effort will pay off with the opportunity to experience poses and movements from a new perspective, getting into muscles and connective tissues differently than if you were sitting on a chair or standing. And it will also give you the confidence in your ability to get up from the floor should you ever find yourself in need of doing that. If you have a specific physical limitation that makes it unsafe or not possible to get on the floor, you can simply repeat the movements that we do seated while we're doing the other poses on the floor. Our focus will be on hip mobility and flexibility today. So let's get started. So for today's episode, you'll probably want to have a few props with you. Now I have here a strap that I've made out of a slice of a yoga mat, but you can use a belt, a men's tie, a piece of rope, and even an actual yoga strap that you can buy in a store. So something that will allow us to extend our arms a little bit. It's just going to help us reach certain parts of our body. You also might like to have a block, a yoga block. And if you don't have a yoga block, perhaps a thick book of some sort might be handy. So you might want to have those available. And I have here, we have some things in store for you today. I have 2 pieces of paper towel. You could use 2 paper plates if you like. And we're going to do some little hip work with these that's, I think, going to be a lot of fun. But let's get ourselves centered. So I'll put my props aside for now and sit down in the chair. So find your way to your chair and just let yourself settle in. Let your feet rest flat on the floor, your spine be long. Take a nice breath in through the nose and sigh it out through the mouth. One more breath in. And a nice sigh out. Nice. And for about 4 or 5 breaths, just close your eyes and breathe in and out through your nose. Without trying to change your breath at all, just notice how it feels in your body. Noticing how, as the breath comes in, the ribs expand, and as the breath moves out, the ribs relax. And so does the body, really. A nice, relaxed in and out breath. And as you rest your awareness on that breath, you might even notice all on its own, your breath begins to deepen, fill you up a little bit more, begins to relax and soften just a little bit more on the exhale. So 2 more of these nice full breaths. And then open your eyes. And we'll begin to move. So we'll be doing some movements in the chair. We're going to do a lot of hip work today. And then I'm going to show you how to get down onto the mat if that's something that you're not used to doing. So I'll help you get down from the chair onto the floor and then back up, I promise. But we're going to begin in the chair to start with. So take your left leg up and hug it in towards your chest. Root down through your right leg and circle your ankles a couple of times. Switching directions, you might even go back and forth in different directions if it feels good. And then point and flex. Nice. And then coming to stillness, bring your hands behind your knee and begin to draw circles with that knee on some kind of imaginary canvas in front of you. The shin stays nice and relaxed, just kind of hanging from the knee. And bring the circles in the opposite direction. And then drawing the knee back in, cradle the knee and the ankle, flex the foot of the left leg, and then just bring that leg up onto your thigh. Now, this is where a book might come in handy, because if you can't get your foot all the way up here, you may want to take that book or block and bring it over here by your right leg. So you can bring your foot, keep it flexed and bring it to this height, or you might bring it to a higher level. So whichever works for you, you just want to bring the block right against your shin and your foot right against your shin as well, your calf. So wherever you might be, make sure that you're not in any pain. You don't want to bring any pain into the equation ever. And we're simply going to sit here and breathe into this left hip. And after a couple of breaths of just settling into the sensation of this posture, this position, we're going to take a breath in and lengthen up. And if it's available to you, and for some of you it will be, for some of you it won't, just take a lean forward. So you're leaning from your hip creases, lengthening the spine. So the heart is reaching forward rather than rounding. So keep a nice long spine as you lean. And never going into a point of pain or strain. So you're going to what we call your edge, that place where your body just automatically will tell you, this is as far as I can go today. A place where you can sustain it and breathe. So just go ahead and do that. So this is a seated pigeon pose, and we're going to do this same posture on our backs when we get to the floor. If for some reason you can't get to the floor, then you can just repeat this sitting in the chair. So this will be the shape of your body in the chair if you're not doing it on the floor. And then on an inhale, bring yourself all the way back up and hug that knee into your chest. Nice. Bring that foot down to the ground, and here's where you may want to grab a strap, a tie, a belt, whatever will suit you. You're going to still root down with that right foot, put the strap on the ball of the left foot. And so the strap is kind of creating a little sling for your leg, taking some of the weight out, and you're pressing out through your heel. Turn your toes slightly out, and then holding on to the strap in your left hand, draw that leg out to the side. And then draw it across the body and over to the other side, across the top of the right leg. And then back to center, and then release. So we'll move to the other side. We're going to take this right leg in and hug it. Make circles with the ankle. My circles are usually very crackly. They're very noisy. Pointing and flexing. Just bringing that synovial fluid into the joint of the ankle. And then bringing your hands behind your knee and beginning to make those circles. So they're big and slow, coming right from the hip. And then reversing direction when it feels like a good time to do it. Hug that knee in, cradle the knee with your right hand and the ankle with the left. Flex the foot and bring that ankle up. So here again is where you can use the block if your leg can't get up there. So we're always working to find a way to modify poses that make them accessible for any limits that you might have in your body. Over time, the body might open up, become a little bit more flexible, and maybe not, but any kind of movement like this is wonderful for your hips. So a nice tall spine, and on your exhale, folding forward, keeping a long spine, reaching that heart forward, and it might be a micro movement. It might be just a tiny little movement. It might be no movement at all. So just play with where your body can take you and where you can sustain it and continue to breathe. So there's some effort going on here, but there's also a bit of ease. We're not working super, super hard. We're allowing the body to relax and open up. Nice full breaths, sending the exhale right down into the tight spaces that you might discover. And then bringing yourself up. And finding that strap again, belt or whatever you might have. Bringing it around the ball of the foot, extending the leg out. So again, you're in a nice little sling. So you're working these muscles, but you're not overworking them, okay? Sitting nice and tall, turn the toes slightly out and bring that leg out to the side. Keep a tall spine. Just opening up the hip again, just in a different way. Breathing. And then bringing the leg across the top of the left thigh over to the other side. Supporting yourself in any way you need to, or you might even challenge yourself by bringing your arm out to the side. And then come back to the center and remove the strap. So I have a feeling that you're probably saying to yourself, what are we going to do with paper towels or paper plates? I know if I were in your seat, I would be asking myself that question. So let's show you. So you want to be on a surface that is flat and not sticky. So you don't want to be on your mat. So you may need to move your chair, if you're on a mat, close to the edge. And we're going to put the paper towels or the paper plates down on a surface that slides easily. So you want to be able to slide your foot around. And the paper just kind of helps you move a little bit more smoothly. So we're going to get into our hips, we're going to get into our legs here. And we're going to start by cross-country skiing. So we're simply going to bring the legs forward and back. You can add the arms too. So the legs are moving. Hopefully my paper towel will survive this motion. Paper plates are a little more sturdy. So you can do this for as long as you want, as long as you can sustain it. It's a great aerobic movement, so you might want to play with that. You can do it on a short piled rug, a wooden or a tiled floor, whatever you can slide with. And you might even be able to just do it in nice slippery socks. Certainly not yoga socks, because they're not going to slip for you. Then we're going to start moving in a different direction. We're going to go out and across and out and across. So we're just switching which leg is crossing. Going nice and wide and coming in. And again, you can do this for as long as you can sustain it. It's a great workout for your hips, for your legs. At the same time you're using your core, you're trying to stay nice and vertical here. And I think it's fun. You can even put on some music, some really groovy music, and just kind of hang out doing this. Great for you. All right. So one last move. Now that we're all warmed up, we're going to make circles, great big circles. So we're just going to bring our feet into great big circles. It's kind of, you're washing the floor at the same time, so maybe you put a little soap underneath this paper towel. It would be a great way to wash the floor. Nice big circles, and then switching direction. And again, you can do this for as long or as little as you can sustain it, because it is tiring. You're working those muscles. And then, boy, that was fun. I hope you liked it. All right. So, we've worked our hips from a seated position in a chair. We're going to find our way down to the floor, if that suits you. And I'll give you some instruction on how to get down there safely if you're a little uneasy about getting there. And then we'll do some exercises for our hips while we're lying on our backs on the floor. So let me put this to the side. I'll put my block to the side. And I'm going to put my chair at the end of the mat. I'm going to leave myself enough room so that I can lie on the mat. So you might just have 2 legs of the chair on the end of the mat. I'm going to keep my strap nearby because we're going to use that. So to get down on the floor safely, you can bring your hands to the sides of a chair and then step one foot back and drop the knee and bring the other knee right down there. So I'll show you how to come back up just in case you decide you don't want to stay here. So we're going to take that leg that we just moved back up in front. We're going to curl the back toes, bring the weight into the front leg as we push off with the back foot, lift that knee, and then step that back foot forward. So we'll try it again. We're going to come back down, so the foot will step back, and we'll lower the knee. We'll glide this foot back. Voila. So then you might come down onto one hip. So just find your way onto a hip. And then bring your legs around. I'm going to bring my feet this way. And I'm going to lie down on my back so you can join me. So just resting on your forearms, lowering yourself nice and quietly onto the mat. Gently. Walk your feet in towards your hips. And then we're going to take the strap around the left ball and extend that leg up. So this might look familiar. We did this when we were sitting in the chair. So if you're not on the floor, you can just do this position again. Seated with the leg out and the strap right around the ball. So we're going to gently draw the leg back. If you need to keep the leg bent a little bit, that's okay. Or you can lower it a little bit that way so that you can keep the leg straight. So you decide which is the best way for you. You want to get a nice stretch, a healthy stretch in the back of the leg, the hamstring, without any shaking, without any strain. And just pause there. And then we're going to glide the right foot down to the bottom of the mat. And holding on to our right hip here, we're going to start to make circles with that left leg. Getting into that hip socket. Slowly making them longer, so you may want to switch hands, making those circles as large as feels comfortable. Ooh! Make sure your chair's out of the way. And then switch direction. And then bringing the leg back up, we're going to turn the toes out as we did when we were seated in the chair, and we're going to open that leg out to the side. Keep your right hand on your right hip, and so you might only be this far. You might only be this far. So wherever you stop along the way, wherever your body tells you to stop, you don't want to be accumulating lots of tension in your neck and your shoulders. So pressing out through the heel, activating the leg, but helping the weight of the leg by slinging it with that strap. Drawing it back through center, so you might take both hands on the strap and just guide it across. So we're keeping the leg low. We're not going to roll onto our hip here. We're just going to bring the leg across the right thigh, much like we did when we were seated in the chair. Just breathing into tightness. And then bringing your leg back up, bending that leg. And walking the other knee in, bringing both knees into your chest. Taking the right foot down onto the mat, flexing that left foot and resting the foot on the thigh. Pressing that left thigh away. So bringing the hand nice and high on the thigh, close to the hip, and just gently pressing the thigh away. Keeping this foot flexed is going to help protect your knee. And just breathe here. You might decide that this is not much of a challenge for you. Maybe your hips are nice and open, so you might come and lift the right foot off the mat. Sometimes it's nice to put the strap behind the lifted foot and just kind of draw it in that way. So we can use our strap to just make our arms longer, to just make the reach to certain parts of our bodies easier. And then release everything down. You might hug that left knee in towards your chest. And then lay both legs long. See if you feel just a little taller on your left side, or longer, if you will, on one side than the other. Just an observation. And then walk your feet back in. Bring the right knee in and bring the strap around that right foot and extend that leg up. So again, you're pressing out through the heel, drawing down through the ball of the foot with the strap. And again, the leg might be slightly bent, or it might be a little lower and a little straighter. Finding the right stretch for your body. And then letting that left leg kind of lengthen out. I'm becoming very cozy with my chair here. And then we're going to make some circles. So we're going to make circles in one direction. Slowly getting them bigger and bigger. And then switching directions. And then coming to stillness here, turning the toes slightly out, holding onto the strap in your right hand. Just let that leg fall out to the side. So again, you might be up here, or somewhere in between. If you get really close to the ground, you might put a block underneath your leg just to kind of let it relax out there. You want to keep this left buttock down on the ground. And breathe. Sometimes when we do these poses, tension accumulates in our shoulders and on our jaw because we're trying so hard. So try to relax there. You might just let your head move from side to side. And then draw the leg up through center, and we're going to draw it across. We're going to keep it, rather than high, we're going to bring it right across the thigh. Just press out through the heel and get a nice stretch here. Nice stretch into the outer hip, into the medius and minimus glutes. And then draw the leg back up, remove the strap, hug the knee in, and then bring that foot down to the ground. Bring both feet in towards your buttocks. Take the right leg up once again, flex the foot, and rest the ankle on the left thigh. So here we are in the same posture, pressing that right thigh away from you with your right hand, keeping that right foot flexed to protect your knee. And just exploring openness here, you might find that you've got a lot more movement to offer your body on this side, or maybe less. So maybe you stay here. You might have lifted your leg on the other side. And this side, not so much. So this is where we discover the differences from one side to the other, and it's where we work eventually to find balance in the body. So if you feel you have more to offer this hip in terms of opening, you might take the strap, wrap it around your thigh, and draw that thigh in, pressing the right thigh away. Softening the shoulders. So sometimes we wind up doing this if we just use our arms, and we really want to be laying flat. Breathing into whatever's tight. So softening the jaw, the neck, the shoulders, maybe letting the head gently roll from side to side. And then releasing the strap, lowering the foot, hugging this leg in, sliding the left leg down, bringing the right leg down right next to it, and maybe now you're the same length on both sides. So you might notice how the sides have balanced out a little bit, hopefully. So just taking a pause to notice. Bring your feet back towards you once again. Hug your knees in toward your chest. Real nice squeeze here. And here you might begin to draw circles with your knees. So one hand on each knee. Begin to make nice big circles. Our hips love it when you move them through their whole range of motion and get all that beautiful synovial fluid juicifying those joints. It's really great for you. And I don't know about you, but my hips need more and more juicifying all the time. So hug your knees into your chest. Ah, beautiful squeeze, and maybe you give a little rock from side to side. So we're going to find our way back up. I'm going to roll onto my left side. You can roll to your left or your right. So I'm just going to bring myself onto my side and press myself up. And then I'm going to come onto all fours, face the chair, bring my hands to the chair, bring one foot forward, curl the toes of the back foot, press into that back foot to lift the knee, and then step the back foot forward. Bring yourself all the way up to standing. Nice job. So we're going to do one last movement standing before we end the practice. So it's all about the hips. You should be having the grooviest hips in the world today, nice and loose and being able to do all kinds of stuff. So what I'd like you to do is bring your feet wide and have your toes point out, your heels in. So what we're trying to get to in this stance is a place where our knees can track over our toes. And that's going to be determined by your own body's limit. So it will depend, maybe your feet are closer or further apart. Maybe they're turned a little more out or a little more in. So kind of play with that and see if you let yourself sink into a squat that your knees are tracking over your toes. And you don't have to come into a super deep squat. It can be a little one. So you can decide where your body's going to take you, okay? So take a nice breath in on your exhale, take a dip. So we're sinking into what we call goddess pose here. And then we're going to do what I call a hip glide. So we're going to straighten the right leg, straighten the left, bend the right, bend the left. Straighten, straighten, bend, bend. Straighten, straighten, bend, bend. Straighten, straighten, bend, bend, straighten, straighten, bend, bend. So now we're going to go in the reverse direction. So we're going to straighten, straighten, bend, bend, straighten, straighten, bend, bend, straighten, straighten, bend, bend. So you might feel your hips just sliding, your pelvis sliding as you do this. Nice job. Step your feet together. So let's do one more thing before we sit down. So we're going to do nice hula hoops. So bring your feet about as wide as your hips. Nice softening in the knees. Maybe the hands are on the waist. And just slow motion hula hooping. And reversing direction. Nice. Great job. So many simple little moves that you can do to keep yourself nice and loose in the hips, right? Strong at the same time. We want to make sure our hip muscles are strong as well. So we'll work on that at another episode. But we're going to find our way back to our seat and come into a nice resting posture. So find a place where you can sit. Now, you could have stayed on the floor, and I should have let you stay on the floor. But if you want to climb back down onto the floor and lay yourself out on your mat, go ahead and do that. It's a great way to practice Shavasana. But if you're back in your chair and you're settled there, just let yourself relax. Nice deep breath in through the nose. Sigh it out through the mouth. Let the hands rest on your lap. Let the legs extend. And let all the muscles in the back body soften against the support of the chair or the mat if you're on the floor. And I'm going to guide you through a very brief body scan in this relaxation piece of the practice. And so if I mention, or when I mention a body part, just bring your awareness there and just observe what you discover. It might not be anything at all, or it might be a subtle energy, a vibration, some sense of aliveness. So beginning with the scalp, the forehead and the temples, and all the little muscles in the face. See if you can soften and relax them so there's no expression on the face. Allow the jaw to hang freely from the skull. So maybe part the teeth ever so slightly. You might notice the tongue as it relaxes and spreads and fills the lower jaw. The back of the tongue and the base of the tongue. As all the ganglia of nerves just relax. The back of the head and the throat. The tops of the shoulders, the shoulder blades. The right shoulder and the left shoulder. And the weight and volume and length of both arms, sensing down from the shoulders to the elbows and the elbows to the wrists, the palms of the hands, and the backs of the hands, and each of the 10 fingers. The heart and the lungs, the low back and abdomen, the right hip and the left hip, sensing down each of the legs from hip to knee, backs of the knees and the kneecaps, and sensing down the knees to the ankles, the tops of the feet, and the soles of the feet, and each of the 10 toes. And you might, for a moment, sense a subtle energy moving throughout the body. And in that sensation, recognizing the feeling of being fully present in the here and the now. And resting in that presence. Relaxing here. And if you find that your mind has wandered far away, just see if you can gently bring it back to the present through the sensation of subtle energy in perhaps the palms of the hands or the feet. And in the next moment or two, perhaps bringing some gentle movement into the neck, maybe letting the head turn from side to side or lean to left and right. Maybe rolling the shoulders and stretching the arms and legs, coming into a nice full body stretch. Bringing your hands to your hearts. Fluttering open your eyes, being prepared to go about your day full of energy with nice fluid motions because your hips are so happy. So I hope you enjoy the day. Until next time, namaste. Thanks so much for practicing with me today. If you know someone who might benefit from this practice, I hope you'll share it with them by hitting the share button below. You can also hit subscribe right below as well to be notified when new videos are posted on this channel. A link to this video and other information about the benefits of practicing yoga can be found on my Facebook page, and the link to that page is also shown below. I encourage you to share your feedback as well. So in the comments section, you might tell me what areas of the body I could focus on that would help you. I hope you'll join me next time. Until then, namaste.